Hello, and welcome to the Cynthia Manion Show. I'm your host, Cynthia Manion. And tonight we have a true real estate legend joining us. Steve Chater, long A, has been a driving force in Arizona's real estate industry since 1977. Nearly 50 years of experience in one of America's most dynamic markets. Yeah. Steve is the founder of Keller Williams Integrity First Realty, one of the top 350 real estate companies in the United States. He's a top 1% realtor nationwide and oversees a portfolio of more than 500 single homes and 60 commercial properties through TCT Property Management Services. He's earned the Residential Real Estate Lifetime Achievement Award and Realtor of the Year honors. He's co-authored the national bestseller Hold and How to Find, Buy, and Rent Houses for Wealth. And he has a new book out I can't wait to tell you about. And it is Made for More, Living a Life Well Lived. You're gonna have to get your copy of that. It just came out like not even a month ago. So cool stuff on the rise, and he doesn't stop. He serves as a town council member in Gilbert, Arizona. He teaches at Keller Williams University and is an ordained elder in the Presbyterian Church of America. He's a father of 2 boys and grandfather to 3 boys. And when he's not building wealth or serving his community, he's playing bass guitar with his classic rock band, Group Therapy, with the motto, having fun, playing music for people, having fun. Tonight, we're diving into the Hold strategy, 50 years of real estate wisdom, and what it means to build wealth while living a life of purpose, service, and fun. Please join me in welcoming the accomplished Steve Chater to the Cynthia Manion Show. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
You've been in Arizona real estate since 1977. Now that's the place to be. 50 years. Take us back to the beginning. How did you get started in real estate?
Well, honestly, I started in upstate New York, and I was working for United Parcel Service and was looking to go to Arizona State University to get a degree in transportation, distribution management, all the things that UPS does. And so I came to Arizona, and I was putting myself through school. Could only find a job that paid me $1.65 an hour. That was minimum wage at the time.
Ouch.
And yeah, right. And some of my credits didn't transfer. And so I was actually out by the pool at the apartment complex when I was talking to this another guy who lived in the apartments, and saying, man, I'm going to have to go to another year of school. So now I've got 3 years. I thought that I was only going to have 2. And he said, you should get in real estate. And I said, really, what do you have to do? And so I went and got my real estate license, sold a house my second day, sold another one the next week, sold another, and I just kept going. And it's so awesome to be able to help people buy their first house, right? Their wealth building journey. And then because I didn't know anybody in Arizona at the time, it was difficult to get started. So I'm calling all my friends in New York, and I'm going, wow, you can't believe what's happening out here. And so they chose to invest in properties if I would manage them for them. And so I started out with 2, and now we've got about 510 single family homes. And not just for me, but these are, I manage for other people.
So what's the Arizona real estate market like today as compared to 1977?
Oh, gosh. In 1977, my average sales price was $18,000.
Ooh.
The average sales price in Arizona now is $450,000. So lots of change. Yeah, lots of changes. And so it used to be an Air Force Base training place out here. And so met lots of people in the Air Forces. They were training to be fighter pilots. They bought houses out here. They used VA loans in order to buy houses. They've held on to them for years and years, and built millions of dollars worth of net worth by holding on to Arizona real estate. Arizona is a growing state. Last year we grew at about 60,000 people. So, that's a new city every month. We've actually grown as much as 105, 110,000 people in a year. And so it's now, I don't know, it's the fourth or fifth largest city in the United States, is the Phoenix area.
And where's the Air Force Base? I've been there actually. And isn't there an Air Force Base plane graveyard around there that I drove by?
Yeah, that one's down by Tucson. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. I had some fun there. And then we went driving around and going to the fun Western places and picking up cool jewelry.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Or did you go to Tucson and go see where Wyatt Earp and all those guys, or in Tombstone, not Tucson,
Tombstone. Yes, yes. I went all over. Tombstone, Phoenix. Yes.
Yeah. So we're in the desert and we can get very hot in the summertime. Right now we're in the 70s. Tomorrow we're going to be 80 degrees. In the summer it could get as hot as 120 or so. And then we have Flagstaff, which they're getting snow right now, and it's on the ski areas. So we got a diversity in Arizona that a lot of people don't know about.
Perfect. 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 I want to say hello to Robert Brooker, who joined us. Thanks for coming. Share this out. We appreciate it. You founded Keller Williams Integrity First Realty, which is now one of the top 350 real estate companies in America. What inspired you to start your own brokerage?
To be honest with you, I was the inspiration was about building wealth. And I read, you're familiar with Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Of course, I got it.
Cash Flow Quadrant. And one of the things Robert Kiyosaki said, which I kind of took to heart, was there's three ways that wealth is created. And one is in the stock market. The other one is in real estate. And the third one is owning your own business. And so if you think about it, the stock market is a little piece of somebody else's big business. And real estate, if you're talking single family homes, you can own multiple single family homes, or you can be part of an investment group that invests in real estate. But there's a lot of tax benefits that come because Congress wants us to create housing for people, and especially affordable housing right now. And so they give incentives by tax breaks and credits and depreciation and special tax consideration to real estate that they don't give to other forms, in stock market and things like that. But why did I start a real estate company? It's because I was investing in the stock market. I was buying investment real estate for myself. And so the third way was to own your own business. So I bought a Keller Williams franchise in the Phoenix area.
Ooh, brilliant, brilliant. And you named it Integrity First. It's a powerful name. Why did you choose that name for your company?
You know, it's really interesting. Thanks for asking that. So first of all, it's part of my value proposition, my values, personal values, is integrity. And there were and are lots of people. It's very easy to get a real estate license, and people don't always get it for the right reasons. And if you have a real estate license because your passion, your desire, your goal is to help other people to do what they don't know how to do, and you can help them do that, that's fantastic. But there's also other people that are in it just for the money, and they don't do a good job. They don't practice with integrity. And so at the time that I bought that company, one of the things that I told my people, I had a real estate team, and I told them that we have to protect our clients, and we have to be the integrity to protect our clients from other people. I had one person, for example, that I was aware of that put an earnest money deposit down on 30 houses and never intended to buy any of them. Now, why? I don't know. But buying 30 houses, and I did find out later that what he was looking to do was launder dirty money. And so they could get dirty money. You could buy the property, use cash to buy the property. So that's not integrity. So when I started my own company, I'm like, I only want to be associated with agents that have integrity. That's part of who they are. And how better to do that than to name the company that?
And ladies and gentlemen, that works in all businesses and all walks of life,
Oh yeah,
not
absolutely.
just real estate.
Yeah.
What does it take to build a top 350 real estate company? Like, what are the key decisions that got you there?
Well, so when you buy a franchise, and that's what Keller Williams is a franchising company. Interesting, when I joined Keller Williams, there's about 2,000 agents in the company. There's now around 150,000. And so when you buy a franchise, really what you're doing is you're buying a business model. And as they say, this is how you do business. This is how you run your business. And if you run your business this way, then you'll make money. So think of Subway, for example. If you go into a Subway shop, it's a franchise. And so you go over here and you make your order, and then you walk down the line and you tell them what you want to have on the sandwich, and they put it all together for you. And then at the other end, well, if you run it correctly and do it the way they tell you to do it, and also if you buy it in the right location, you can do well. So it's not like starting a business all by yourself, trying to invent everything. The systems are already there. All you need to do is follow them.
It's like following Betty Crocker's recipe.
Absolutely.
You follow all the ingredients exactly, you're going to get a cake. But
yes,
if you don't, you're not going to get Jell-O out of the oven. It's just not going to happen.
Right. That's exactly right.
So
Exactly.
you've got 2 books that I know of that you've written, and the last one that just came out, Made for More: Living a Life Well Lived, which is less than a month old. I gave it 5 stars today after I finished reading it on Amazon.
Well, thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, you can pick up that book, Made for More: Living a Life Well Lived. 5
It's
stars.
actually leading a life well lived.
Leading. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll pop that up in a minute.
Okay.
It's a lovely little book. You can read it in an afternoon, and
Yeah.
it's got a great little story. I named it "Where Are You Going and How Are You Going to Get There?" And I put, there it is. See, there's the maid. Yes.
Yeah.
I wrote a lovely little book with some big life lessons told gently with great humility. Books are like water for the brain. Keep getting your daily dosage. Made for More: A Life Well Living by Steve Chadler, long A. And in the end, isn't that a joyous, fun place to play? So pick up that book. And then you have your other book, Hold.
Yes.
That was a national bestseller. I think Eric has it there. There it is. How to find, buy, and rent houses for wealth.
Yes.
What does Hold stand for, and what's the core strategy?
Well, it's interesting. This is part of a trilogy of books that Gary Keller, he's the founder of Keller Williams. The first book that he wrote was The Millionaire Real Estate Investor, and I was a contributor to that book. And then he was involved in another book called Flip, and it was becoming popular, TV shows and all that stuff on buying houses, flipping them, and making lots of money. And what the deal was that Flip is actually not investing, it's a business. And so you buy a house and you fix it up and you sell it for more. And that's no different than owning a paint store where you buy the paint, put it on the shelf, and sell it for a profit. Hold is about investing. And Hold is about, because instead of flipping the properties, investors hold on to the properties. And they buy the property because it's an investment, not because it's business inventory. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what we did, I'm a co-author in that book with Janice Doty and Jimmy and Linda McKissick. And what we did was we put together our stories about what we did to grow and build wealth with real estate. And we wanted to present the safe, the secure, the simple way to get started and grow wealth using real estate as the vehicle. And so that's why it became a national bestseller. I've taught people all over the country the principles and the ideas behind investing in real estate. And you know what, Cynthia?
What?
It's actually, there's a whole lot of people think it's complicated. And the deal is, if you played Monopoly, you know how to play the game.
I used to do good at Monopoly. I have to pick up my life here. I always had Boardwalk and Park Place.
Exactly. And so you know what to do. You know, you buy the street and then you put a house on it, you put another house on it, you put another house, and then after 4 houses, you can exchange into a hotel. And our tax laws allow us to do that and exchange, do those exchanges. And the IRS doesn't take taxes when we do an exchange. So if you'd bought Apple stock and you said, wow, I've made a really good profit on my Apple stock, so I'm going to sell it. The first thing that the IRS does is says, that's fantastic. We want our capital gains tax. But in real estate, we can sell it and move forward into another investment property. And the IRS says, okay, you can do that without paying any taxes. So it accelerates the building of wealth much faster than any other kind of investment.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. My brain was just going boop, 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 boop. Oops, oops, oops.
So you know what's interesting is when you think about the book Hold, and you think about, we'll talk about Made for More in a minute, but when you think about the book Hold, how many times have you heard somebody say, man, I had this house back in year 2000, and if I still had that house today, it'd be worth $1 million. And everybody's heard those kind of stories. And so what's the thing? If you didn't sell it, you would have had that. So that's why we wrote the book Hold. That's why we called it Hold.
And ladies and gentlemen, you can get that on Amazon too. Are both books side by side on Amazon?
I don't think they're side by side, but it is available.
Hi, Eric. God's blessing to all. Stephen, our favorite mermaid. Thank you so much for joining. We were just talking about Steve's books here, and it's quite exciting. I actually, your second book was with Mark Victor Hansen Publications,
right.
And I want to thank Preston Weeks for introducing us, by the way, because that was amazing. It's so much fun to get a new book to read. And so back to Hold, you walk us through the Hold strategy. How does someone find the right property, those boardwalks and park houses to invest in?
So I'm going to give you 2 answers, right? Okay. The book itself is here's how you do it.
Okay.
So here's how you find the property. Here's how you finance the property. Here's how you analyze the property to make sure that it actually is a good investment, an investment that fits your goals. And then ultimately, here's how you manage to the goal, because the goal is to create financial security. And so there's a myriad of stories in there. So one of them is mine, and I'll tell you really quickly. I bought a house many years ago, and that house I paid $49,900 for. And I did it as a favor to a pastor who needed to move, but he had bought an absolutely terrible property. It was brand new, but it was functionally obsolete the day he bought it. For example, to take the garbage out from underneath the kitchen sink, you had to walk down the hallway, through the master bedroom, out the door. And so that's called functional obsolescence, right?
I've never heard of such a thing.
I know, right? And so he had bought it, but then he got called to go to a church up in Colorado. And I said, okay, you need to go. I'll take that property off your hands. And I literally sat in the street and I looked at the front of the property, and I said, and I visualized on the front of that property, my son, Matt's college, and the words Matt's College on the front of the property. So 14 years later, Matt was ready to go to college, and I didn't need to sell that property for him to go to college, but it was time to sell it. The neighborhood was deteriorating, and lots of other things were happening, and so I put that property up for sale, and I exchanged it then. And by the way, here's what happened. The tenants paid down the mortgage for me. So now, after I sold the property, I would have netted $36,000. But instead of taking the money and then paying the IRS 25% of it, I said, you know what, I'll exchange it. So I bought a triplex and 2 houses. Okay. And then I exchanged those a few years later into a 16,000 square foot commercial building. So here's what happened. The first house that I bought, when it turned time to sell it, I was making $650 a month in rent. I moved it into more productive investments, and those productive investments, now that building was making $25,000 a month. And because I didn't have to pay taxes on the money, I was able to accelerate. So that's one of the stories that we tell in managing to the goal. And so that's one answer. Here's this how-to book on how to make that work. The other point in the book is that you can do this all yourself, but if you put a team around you of professionals, so that you have your lawyer, you have to do the LLC, you have the lender to get you the mortgage money you need, you have the property manager to take care of the property, you have the right insurance agent that gets you the right insurance that you need to help to protect you. If you put that team around you, not only will it happen more quickly, but it'll grow faster, because you're dealing with a team of professionals instead of trying to learn to be the expert yourself.
And getting up at 2 in the morning when the box overflows or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So where did your son go to college?
He actually decided he wanted to be a firefighter. And so he's still on Mesa, Arizona Fire Department and doing what he absolutely loves, going to work every day. And he drives the fire truck around just like he did when he was a little kid.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous.
Yeah.
So when you find a property, what's your strategy for long-term wealth?
Hold. Okay. Hold on to
one. Hold.
Okay. Hold. So two things happen, right? You buy this property, and so I have a choice. I could take the money that I have and I could invest it in the stock market. So let's say I've got $1,000. I can put it in the stock market and I have $1,000 in there that's growing. Let's say, and let's make it 10,000 because we're going to buy a house now. So let's say I have $10,000. And well, now I'm buying a house and somebody will lend me money to buy that house at a fixed rate of interest for 30 years with a stable payment. And the house goes up in value. Not only that, but the tenant will rent it from you, and nobody rents your stocks from you. And so the tenant rents it from you and pays down the mortgage for you. So even that house that I told you about, which was $49,000. What I forgot to tell you was 14 years later, that house only sold for $54,000. But because the tenant had paid down the mortgage, I had this $36,000 that I could then parlay into more productive real estate investments. And I didn't have to pay the tax on it. So the money that would have gone to taxes, it continues to parlay and grow, and it creates wealth way more quickly.
Oh, those by the ways. And the LA Tribune just joined us. Thank you. Lovely to have you here.
Welcome.
Hey, Alan. We need to have you guys back on the show. For someone who's watching tonight who's never invested in real estate, where should they start?
Start with let me back up. Can I make this answer a little bit longer?
Yes.
Okay.
Please,
so here's the deal.
It's your show.
We have gone through a very low interest rate market where people were able to get 2, 3, 4% interest rate on the houses. And because they were able to do that, people were buying houses like crazy. Even during COVID, that was one of our best years for selling houses, because people were buying them for various reasons. Some of them didn't want to go to the office anymore, wanted to work from home, but property values have gone up like crazy. The point I'm making is that Generation Z is looking at the fact that now the interest rates are back up to normal.
Mhm.
When I wrote the book Hold, we went back and we did the research, and we've gone back 50 years, and the average interest rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage is 6%.
Mhm.
You can get it below that now. Interest rates are back to normal, but the prices are high. And so the houses are unaffordable because of the prices and the interest rate that you currently have to pay. So if you're in Generation Z, Generation Alpha, any of those kind of things, the younger generations, number one is get your first house. And it doesn't have to be your forever house. In fact, I don't think it should be. Your first house that you buy should be bought as my first investment, and then I'm going to move to get another one. Because the cheapest interest rate with the lowest down payment is the house you're going to live in. So that's how to get started. It's like it's get in the game. The other way to get started with this is, so I'm almost 74 years old. And when I was younger, my parents were told, and they told me, you get a good education, you get a good job with a good pension, and then what you do is you buy a house and you pay off the house so that when you're ready to retire, and let's just call that financial independence, when you're ready to not work anymore in order to fund your life, then you won't have the expense of having the house payment. Okay, so that's what we were all told.
Mhm.
So now you have the older generation who have houses and they don't want to have monthly payments. They've got equity because they paid off the mortgage.
Mhm.
But their grandkids can't afford to buy a house. And the grandparents have equity that's just sitting there. So I believe that families need to come together and have this conversation. Grandpa and grandma. I saw a statistic the other day, Cynthia, that said that that the millennial generation is expecting in the next few years that $80 trillion worth of wealth is going to transfer. Some of that's going to go to charity. Some of it's going to go to the kids. Having been in real estate for many, many years, I have seen kids inherit real estate, and then it's like they can't agree on what to do, so they sell it. And then they take the money that was building wealth and they go and they buy a new Escalade or a boat or maybe even pay down their mortgage, whatever. But the thing that started the wealth creation in the first place gets disseminated, and now the grandkids can't afford to buy a house. So if the families come together to say, we realize that this is the situation we're in. If you look at Europe, if you've been to any of the big cities in Europe, who owns the real estate? It's the wealthy. Where do the middle class live? They rent from the wealthy. Where do the lower middle class live? They take the train out to the farmhouses out in the country, and they rent out in the country and then take the train back into the city. We're moving towards, if we don't get our generations together to be building wealth and combining, and by the way, we're Americans, we're so individualistic, we never talk about money. We don't do that. We don't talk about money. We don't talk about religion. You get to do what you want to do. Well, we're running into a situation that if we don't have these conversations as a family, grandkids and great grandkids are going to suffer because of it. So I waxed a bit philosophical on that.
You did, and you tied in both books actually into that class.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and that's part of the reason why I wrote Made for More, because I had a conversation with Gary Keller, who is Keller Williams, and I asked him a question one time. I said, Gary, you've created us. And by that, what I meant was, I was a real estate agent with a license to sell houses. And my job was to help people sell houses. And Gary said, I'm going to sell you franchises so you can be a business owner rather than a person who owns a job. And there's a difference between a business owner and a person who owns a job. So I said, Gary, you created us. What do you intend to do with us? And he gave me two answers, which were really profound. I've never forgotten them because this conversation happened many years ago. And the first one was, he said, I never intended to be an international company, but I was always willing to go where my people would take me.
Mm.
I thought that's a profound statement.
Mhm.
What does that mean? You have to have those right people around you to take you further, right? Again, going back to the team of who do you have around you? The second question, the second answer to the question was, he said, I don't have any plans of what I'm going to do with you guys. He said, just take what you've learned and pay it forward. So for about 25 years, I've been a member of the faculty of Keller Williams University, where we teach people how to build careers, how to build businesses, and how to build lives worth living. And that's all the curriculum that I've taught. So as I've reduced my exposure to Keller Williams University and I'm spending more time at home, what I realized was, where do I go and share what I've learned? I don't need to work anymore. I've got abundance in my life in all these different areas. And so I thought, well, Mark Victor Hansen met me and said, hey, let me help you share your story. And I thought, okay, I'll do that. And if it's just my kids that learn, my family and friends that read the book, that's great. And that was how big I was thinking at the time. Right now, it's growing way bigger than that. And so anyway, it's me taking what I've learned in the 74 years that I've lived and paying it forward. And there's a couple of issues with that. One is leadership, and that issue is, how are you leading your life? And I'm going to be. If I got a minute, I'll share another story with you.
Absolutely. You got all the time you need.
Okay. All right. So when I first joined the company and I get in conversations with Gary and other people that were top producers, because I was one of the top 1% real estate producers in the United States, and 99% of the people sold less than I did. And so, but I'm in this room with other people that are very high producers. And Gary kept talking about leadership. And I'm like, the whole concept of leadership was just going over my head, because I'm not leading, I'm here to help. I'm here to help you find the house. I'm here to help you sell the house. I'm here to help you invest in real estate. I'm here to help you in the ownership of real estate while you're building wealth. And that was my mindset. And one day it just clicked. It goes, oh, okay, I get it. We're talking about leading and leading other people. So when I'm looking at my real estate business, I'm like, nobody calls a real estate agent up and says, come on over, I really want to find a new friend. Yet that's the way lots of them do it. Okay. And including me, you try and create relationship with somebody and you want them to trust you so that you can help them. And no, what they're looking for is, they say, I have this need and I'm looking for somebody to help me solve the need to buy a house, to sell a house, to invest. And so what they really wanted is, they want somebody to lead them through a process. And because they went through that process, they have now achieved their goal. So I got this different impression of leadership. Oh, what is leader? And so now we start looking at more than just being successful in business, more than just making more money. What is life about? Okay. And I had some of my agents ask me that question. And while I was teaching them how to sell more houses, they came to me and said, could you take this conversation to a deeper level? And so I took the challenge. Again, I said yes. And so as I was trying to think of how do I go about doing that, I found a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. And Eleanor Roosevelt said, great minds talk about ideas. Mm-hmm. Average minds talk about events And small minds talk about people. Well, events are the weather, the market, the politics, all of that. Okay, average people, so we talk, small minds talk about people, and they watch TMZ. And so the great minds talk about ideas, and I'm going, well, what? Okay, now I've got my people that are already doing what they need to do to be successful in business. What are the ideas we should be talking about? And I came up with 4 of them. And these are the ideas that the book is built around. Okay. So the first idea is that life, all of our lives, include 5 separate but interconnected areas. Sorry, my camera moves when I do gestures.
Okay. Excuse me, Eric, will you put up that diagram for Steve, please? It's the circle.
Yeah. So life includes these 5 separate but interconnected areas. So all of these areas are spiritual, personal, family, financial, and community. Okay. So do you believe that to be true?
Yes.
That life includes those areas?
Yes.
There's certainly subcategories. So for example, personal could be health, all of that kind of stuff. And then financial. Community could be your job. Okay. And the community, it's the community of people that you do life with. So if you believe that to be true and you say that, okay, life includes these 5 areas, then the next idea that we talked about, idea number 2, is that the ideal life would be abundance in every one of those areas. Abundance spiritually, abundance personally, abundance in your family, abundance financially, and abundance community. And I had to redefine abundance. So I found that lots of people think abundance is greed. And abundance is, I have to have more, I have to have more, I need more than I need, and that kind of thing. And so my definition of abundance is I am grateful for everything that I have. And there's more. And so that conversation of I'm grateful for what I have, and there's more. That's how I define abundance. So second idea, ideal life would be abundance in each one of those areas. So let me back up a second and let me talk about spiritual, because some people believe that we're created and that we have a creator, and other people believe or don't believe in a creator, whatever it is they believe. So I'm not talking religion here, I'm talking about spiritual, because at the base level, a spiritual transaction is a thought, right? A spirit, you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't feel it, you can't taste it, but it's real. You have a thought, and it produces actually a physical reaction, or it could produce a physical reaction. Music has spiritual reactions with people. So the third idea here is that the most important thing in each one of those areas, spiritual, personal, family, financial, and community, is relationships. I think before we got on and went live, you mentioned Tuesday with Maury, and that book just recounts the absolute value of the relationship that the author had with this man named Maury as Maury was going to the end of his life. And so the most important thing is relationships. So let me go back a second. Spiritual. Who's teaching you how to think? Who's teaching you to think bigger? Who are your mentors? Who are your teachers? Who are the relationships that you have with people to help you think differently so that you can do things different, so that you can have things you didn't have before? How about personal? What's your relationship to yourself? How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as worthy of abundance? Or do you see, right? So that personal relationship. Plus there's others. What about a relationship with a health coach? What about a relationship? So relationships. Relationships with your family, that's pretty obvious. Relationships with your money. Do you see money as scarce, or do you see it as abundant? What's your perception, your relationship to that, and then your relationships in your community. And if you're going to be successful, those relationships need to be with other people that are successful and move you forward, help you think differently. So, first idea, 5 separate areas. Second idea, the ideal life would be abundance in each one of those areas. And by the way, I call them circles, because a circle has no beginning, it has no end, but it can be expanded or contracted based on how you lead and how you lead your life. So the fourth idea, the third idea is relationships are most important. The fourth idea then that we talk about when we talk about being successful in life and leading a life well lived is that abundance requires intentional growth. Now we know the converse of it. What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting the different result.
Absolutely. So if we're not intent on growth, abundance doesn't happen. So then if you bring your life around all of those things and say, well, how am I leading my life? What would my life look like spiritually, personally, family, financially, and community if I had abundance? That gives us the ability as human beings, because we can imagine something and then create it. No building got built without somebody imagining the blueprints first. Somebody imagining what it was going to look like. No custom home got built without people coming together and saying, would you like it to look like this? What would it look like? What color paint? What's the landscape? All of those kind of things. We have the ability to lead because we can create in our minds what we want to have happen in the physical world. So I said it was a long story, and it was, but I'll stop there, and I'll let you ask any questions or whatever, because every one of those concepts goes deeper and deeper and deeper the more that you start to look at it. And if you are leading your life intentionally, if you are growing intentionally, growing in strength, you're going to go work out. Growing in how you think, you're going to go to conventions, you're going to read books, you're going to talk to people. Growing in relationships doesn't necessarily mean that you have lots and lots of relationships. It's really the abundance in a relationship is how deep is it? So I'll go back to Tuesday with Maurice again. Look at how deep that conversation was and that relation was and how that impacted people's lives. There's a fantastic book that I read. It's written by Dr. Arthur C. Brooks, and he's a Harvard professor, and he wrote a book called From Strength to Strength. And when Oprah got a hold of that book, she liked it so much, she announced it out to all of her people, and she wrote the sequel with him on the sequel book for that. But the book From Strength to Strength, one of the things that I got out of that is the difference between deal friends and real friends, in evaluating the relationship. And so I'll share you something that I learned. I used to teach a course called Fierce Conversations, and that one of the premises, one of the fundamental ideas is the conversation is the relationship. And if the conversation's not happening, what's happening to the relationship? If the conversation is water skiing instead of scuba diving, what kind of relationship is it? We talk about the market, we talk about the events instead of talking about the big ideas. And that's where the book came from. And then we wrote a story about people's lives. And so we've got a couple that are in their mid-50s and have expectations for their lives that aren't being met. We have a couple in their 30s that have expectations for their lives. And life changes and throws at us different scenarios and sequences. So then, so how do you lead through that? How do you lead intentionally instead of just accepting the circumstances that happen and being a victim of the outside circumstances, instead of leading and building the life that you want to have? So now I'll shut up.
Isn't that very good food for thought, ladies and gentlemen? How are you making the recipe of your life? You have to really go deep and take some time and think about some of the things that Steve said. Because if you have a belief, but you don't know where that belief came from, is it really your belief? Do you need to alter it a little bit? Are you on path in all of the 5 areas that Steve brought up? I think we need to be the architects of our own life and go in and really take an hour a week and play around with it like Monopoly board game and go, huh, ha, ha, ha. I know I'm at a changing point and I'm going to go and I'm currently reevaluating where I want to go, what I want my legacy to be, what I'm going to do next, how I'm going to do it, who will be on my advisory board, living and dead. Because, you can reach out to anyone and go, if I was, I don't know, George Washington, would I do that? If I was Martin Luther King, how would I say that? And pull in all of these greats and learn from them because they've laid it out. We've been doing this since we can drink water. And every new author has a new point on it, and it's serious like a new meal. So you take in that information and figure it out for yourself and figure out what are you going to do to live a better life.
So I tried to make a simple framework to do that because there's only 5 areas to pay attention to. 1. 2, you get to determine, am I living abundance spiritually, personally, family, financially? And if the answer is yes, fantastic. If the answer is no, then it's like, okay, well, what's the gap? What is it that I need to do in order to achieve that? And now we're talking intentional leadership rather than just accepting things by default as they come to us, being fatalistic.
Yeah, in life, it's hard to keep all the balls up in the air sometimes. So you get those all going really well, and then, oops, you got a thing, a health thing, a financial thing. And you have to be strong. And thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing that out to Alan from the LA Tribune, because I appreciate that, because this is really good stuff. You got to really, really, really intentionally keep all your 5 balls in the circle, moving around in a way to enhance your life and give you happiness and abundance and joy and legacy.
So when you said, you triggered me here because happiness is a choice. Joy is a result of a spiritual abundance.
And a joy of appreciation and gratefulness.
100%. It requires that. And actually, one of the things that Harvard people that studied happiness, I can't remember the guy's name, but it's a phenomenal YouTube video or TED Talk on, and gratitude is the prerequisite. If you're not grateful for what you have, then you're sitting in this world of lack and you're focused on what you don't have. And unless you're grateful for what you have, it's virtually impossible to be happy when you're not satisfied with what you've got.
And you're going to miss the little things.
Yeah.
The smell of coffee in the morning or tea or the sunset, the sunrise, things that can bring you enormous joy. The first smile from your granddaughter or grandson, just like, all the little things in life. Just, driving up and getting the first parking space and letting someone go through and saying thank you, holding the door open. It's joyful.
Yes. Yeah, well, and when you're joyful, you exude joy and you do joyful things.
And you're happy and you sing and you sleep well.
Yeah, right. Well, and you're talking about the little things, but it's also the big things. I had a situation where I had a lady that worked for me, and for whatever reason, we got estranged, and she left and took me because one of my values is damaged relationships are not okay. And it took me a 1.5 years of inviting her to come and have coffee before she finally accepted. And our friendship is amazing because the relationship is restored, and we took action to make that happen. And somebody's got to do it. Somebody has to lead, right? Mm-hmm. And since that's just one of my values, it wasn't difficult for me to do that because I'm like, no, I'm not comfortable with the fact that our relationship has been damaged. So it's the big things too, because even as I'm telling you about it, I'm experiencing the joy of that restored relationship.
Good job. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Keep it up, and everyone can do that.
Yes.
Really, you
Yes.
don't need any icky stuff out there. You got to clean it up so that you could.
Right. So we're actually creating a website. We're in the middle of it right now,
Yeah.
to help people move on that path and to pay attention to those areas and to learn from others. So so we're able to use artificial intelligence in such amazing ways. So for example, artificial intelligence can come in and transcribe this conversation, put this conversation into a way that somebody else can take bits and pieces out of it. So let's say somebody's concerned about relationships, because we just talked about that, right?
Okay.
And so they go, okay, well, this is where I want to grow. I want to grow my relationships in my community or my family or relationship to myself. And and so artificial intelligence can actually go and take a snippet and send that to them and say, you know what, here's an encouraging word you might want to listen to today. Here's something you might want to experience today. So, so as I told you when I first wrote that, my vision was, if my family and friends read it, that's great. And now it's like, no, we're going to make this available to the world. Thank you for allowing me to make it part of your world.
My pleasure. And then you can follow it up with an old-fashioned phone call.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Steve also has a band, Group Therapy. You play bass guitar, I believe, in a classic rock band.
I do.
Tell us about that. How did that start?
See,
I'm looking for his joy, guys. See, so his band's motto is have fun playing music for people having fun. So I love that. So you can say how you applied that to philosophy of real estate too.
Oh, yeah, right. It's a mission statement for the band. And if you can't have fun playing, you don't fit in our band. So we've been together for a little over 10 years. I started it 20 years ago just to do a skit in a play. And but my son is a very, very good musician. And so he's gone from piano to cello and now he loves playing the drums. So I get to hang out with my son and he plays in the band. We play we're playing tomorrow night. We played last night. We're playing for retirement communities and people that love this classic music and classic country. If they'll sing and dance to it, that's what we do. So that's why we're called Group Therapy, because we give 3 or 4 sessions a night and we hope people walk away feeling better.
Adorable. Jeffrey Wolf, thanks for sharing this out. Nice to see you, buddy. Best real estate investment you ever made?
The first house that I bought. And so that was the one that was the catalyst that allowed me to buy others. And so I've made some bad ones. I've lost money by doing what I didn't know and understand. And I'll tell you, what I know and understand is residential real estate. And I bought a commercial property that wound up losing a lot of money on. I bought a commercial property that I made a lot of money on too. But
a guitar man, yes, music. It makes the life worth living. You need music. A worst real estate mistake, and what did you learn?
I learned that having too much leverage is dangerous. Okay. And what that means is borrowing too much. Okay. That's what the lever is. It's using other people's money to buy it. Our country's experiencing it right now. We're spending $1 trillion a year or more, and it's created inflation. So I learned that at a personal level too, that over leveraging and buying something because it looks like a good idea without analyzing it first. If I had analyzed it better first, I just bought it because I thought it was a good idea. The economy changed, and I wound up short selling it and lost about $1.5 million.
Ouch. If you could only give one piece of real estate advice, what would it be?
Buy your first house, and then buy your second house, and then buy your third house. Now, let me tell you something. I have worked with hundreds and maybe even thousands of people that bought one investment property and were satisfied, and they're not playing Monopoly correctly. You need to acquire, if you're going to be an investor, you don't buy just one. you buy one and then you buy another and another. Why do you do that? Because the asset's going up in value and somebody else is paying you to use it. And Congress, the IRS, gives you a tax break for owning it. So your return on investment is significantly higher than what the average person gets in their IRA or their 401k.
Mm-hmm.
Significantly higher. Like, it's easy to save more than double.
Hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Now's the time.
It is 100%. 100%.
Complete the sentence. Wealth is really about.
Wealth is really bigger than money, but the purpose of working, the purpose of our occupation, the purpose of the business that we have, is it about the money or is it to fund the ideal life? And so if you know what you want your life to look like, spiritually, personally, family, financially, community, now you can know, how much money do I need to make for that? So I tell the story in the book because there was a guy who was in my classes, and he took off and he was making tons of money, well over $1 million a year. And he took the weekend off with his wife, and they said, what do we want our life to look like? And what do we want to look like in all these areas? And they came back and they found out they had enough. They didn't have to work, and he didn't have to spend so much time. Now, it's not that he quit because he loved what he did, but now his life is way more balanced in all of the other areas because he already knows that he has the money to fund the ideal life. And that's the reason we go to work. And I'm going to tell you that I'm a recovering workaholic. And my value proposition was to make money to provide for my family and God if I had time. And I found out that those were 3 good priorities, but they need to be changed in God, family, and business instead of the other way around.
Yep, he's a father of 2 boys and grandfather to 3 boys. How do you balance your time now?
I go to my son's basketball games. I go to my other son's mountain bike racing things. We go camping. I do special vacations with the family. We're going to Bermuda. No, we're going to the Bahamas in May. We go to California for a couple of weeks, and what I do now is in a couple of words is I create great experiences for them.
Love it. Yes, that's the best. That's what they'll remember.
Yes.
Your favorite classic rock song to play on the bass?
Oh, the favorite. I don't know. I don't have a favorite necessarily. You know what I really like? Hotel California.
Oh, that's a good one, especially since you're going to go there for a few weeks.
Yeah, right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have to be able to reach out to Steve. We're going to put up his ways to reach out to him. He's on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. And here's his Facebook.com, Steve.Chatterlonga.
Yeah.
.5.
Yeah.
Write it down, catch the replay, LinkedIn.com.
So we're in the process of creating that website that I told you about.
Yes, yeah.
It's called madeformorebook.com.
Madeformorebook.com.
Yes. And so all these resources and tools and conversations and things to help people to lead a life well lived. We're going to continue to add that. And so if they become a member of the site, we're going to be, it's going to be powerful. And so I'm really excited about it. And it's called madeformorebook.com. There you go. Thank you, Eric.
Eric is amazing. Thank you, Eric. Madeformorebook.com. So join that. Pick up his books on Amazon. What's the best part about being a grandfather?
Being a grandfather. How many grandparents do you know that like their grandchildren better than their own kids?
I never thought about that one.
Yeah, well, the thing is that you can always send them home when they start to get cranky. You couldn't do that with your kids.
I love them all. I love them all. Any plans to write another book?
I'm sorry?
Any plans to write another book? What you got
I
on
have
that?
in the back of my mind, there are so many success stories of people that have read the book Hold and have done what we've said in it that I really feel like, and I don't know if it needs to be a book or if it needs to be something else, but the success stories for all of the people. And even so, lots of people have read the Made for More book and said, Steve, this has changed my life. It's changed how I'm thinking about my life. It's changed what, and so I'm thinking success stories.
And the sequel.
Yeah, yeah. There you
Perfect.
go.
Okay, so what's your daily routine like? Last question.
Daily routine. I get up, I read, I study. Then about 10 o'clock, I come in and do my email, and then I go to work in my businesses. I own the real estate company and a property management company and a title company, and now I'm working on a website. So,
Woo! A full,
and
fulfilling life.
yeah, right.
Thank you so much for being on the Cynthia Manion Show. It was a pleasure. Pick up madeformorebook.com and join the website. Sounds like he's got exciting recipes cooking there to help your life get even better and more abundant. Thank you so much for being here. Please share this
My
out,
pleasure.
ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Cynthia Manion Show. Be good. Make
Cynthia,
wise choices. Yes, Steve.
Cynthia, thanks for the privilege.
Ah, my pleasure. You're wonderful.
Yeah.